What's up, boys? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm on UFC 5 and we are going to see what would happen if the UFC had a heavyweight tournament. The tournament will include every ranked fighter in the game from Jon Jones to Derek Lewis, and also to mix things up, we're going to include every heavyweight in UFC 5 that fought in 2023, such as Fedor Emelianenko and Junior Dos Santos. Up first, we have number 8 Alexander Volkov taking on number 9 Tai Tuivasa. Winner has to fight Jon Jones. Both of these guys will be an interesting matchup for Jones. Volkov is the tallest fighter in the tournament at 6'7", and Tai has the punching power of a Nissan Altima on a Texas highway. We get a glove touch, and right away Tai tries to outkick the kickboxer, and he ends up love tapping Volkov's face. Volkov didn't like that, so he sat Tai down with a body kick and tried sending his head into the third row. Before the 1 minute mark of the fight, Volkov secures a takedown on Tai and is ready to score points on Tai's face. While only in half guard, Volkov decides to start wailing on Tai, but Tai bear hugs him and rolls to the top position. Within a minute, Tai has full mount and isn't being very tender with Volkov. Volkov gets his revenge, but we finish the round with surprisingly little action thanks to the fight reaching the mat. In the second round, Volkov opens up a cut on Tai's left eye. Tai responds with a big head kick, but again, Volkov just brushes that off. Tai needs to win this round, so he starts swinging with everything he has, but nothing is working for him, and Volkov drops him with the simplest uppercut. But Tai comes back later in the round and opens up a nasty cut on Volkov and knocks him down. We don't get another knockdown in the round, but Volkov is piecing him up from distance while Tai is swinging at his imagination. In the third round, Tai keeps pushing towards Volkov, but Volkov is somehow landing bigger shots while backpedaling.
Please stop. I can't let you get close.
And to make matters worse, Volkov secures another takedown. But thankfully for Tai, all Volkov did down there was pull on his legs before getting bored and standing back up. Again, Tai is swinging at nothing, but he keeps on spamming buttons, and eventually one connects on Volkov's chin and stuns him. And just when things were looking up for Tai, Volkov kicks his left leg so hard that his right leg takes damage. And Volkov drops him with an overhand. You probably wouldn't guess it from looking at Volkov's face, but he won this fight by unanimous decision. He fought a smart fight, but we'll see how that strategy holds up against Jon Jones in the next round. Up next, we have a super tough first round matchup between number 5 Stipe Miocic and number 12 Junior Dos Santos. Stipe opens this one up with a kick that wraps around JDS's neck. He shadow boxes for a little bit after that, but then he shadow boxes a little too close to his opponent and almost has him knocked out. JDS recovers and pressures Stipe, but Stipe decided to throw 3 left hooks in a row. 2 of them land and JDS is hurt again. JDS starts to swing for his payback, so Stipe works in a takedown. It takes him an entire minute to gain full mount, but he punches him once and stands back up. Stipe just mentally and physically dominated JDS for 5 minutes, but in round 2, Dos Santos lands an uppercut that leaves Stipe wobbled. It then started to look like a prison fight. They're just swinging at each other's bodies, but Stipe remembers he's a free man. He goes back to his signature combination triple hook and drops JDS again. After taking the fight to the mat, Stipe stays around long enough to land more than one punch, but once again, he voluntarily decides to stand and bang against one of the most dangerous knockout artists of all time. Stipe ends up leaning into a stunning punch that also leaves a cut above his eyes and gets caught by a hook that drops him to the mat. JDS continues his wave of momentum in the final minute of round 2, and it looks like Stipe just gave away a round for free. Speaking of giving away things for free, they say that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and HelloFresh agrees. So they are offering their new customers free breakfast for life. If you sign up with HelloFresh using the code on your screen, you will enjoy a free breakfast item with every single HelloFresh delivery forever. Even if you're like me and you can't cook a good plate of spaghetti, you don't need a rat in your hat pulling your hair to make HelloFresh. They provide you with the correct ingredients, proportions, and user-friendly instructions on how to make a tasty meal. And you can say goodbye to recipe boredom when you sign up with HelloFresh. They have more options than ever before. Dig into their biggest menu yet with 45 plus dinner options and even more market items that suit any healthy lifestyle. Whether your 2024 resolution is to save money, eat healthier, or to save time, HelloFresh is here to help. Join America's #1 meal kit today, and you too can enjoy chef-crafted recipes made with fresh ingredients at a price you'll like, delivered right to your door. So scan the QR code at the bottom right of your screen or click the link in the description and start living an easier and healthier lifestyle with the help of HelloFresh. We're back at it in round 3, and Stipe gets right back to work and stuns JDS with a combo. He walks him down and drops JDS to the mat. He goes in for the finish, but JDS escapes just in time to stay conscious. Stipe ground and pounds JDS twice, but he still won't go away. JDS even fights his way back to his feet, but after 3 unanswered punches in a row, Stipe knocks out Junior Dos Santos and is moving on to the next round. He'll be facing the winner of Sergey Pavlovich versus Alexi Olick. Alexi wants the glove touch, but Sergey wants the face touch. Somehow Alexi is the one to land the first major strike of the fight with a big overhand. They clinch, and coming out of it, Alexi drops Sergey with an uppercut and is chasing a finish. He doesn't get it, but I think he's earned himself a glove touch his next time out. We get some awkward clinches, so Alexi says screw it and goes for a takedown. Sergey ends up on top, but Alexi immediately goes for a choke. Sergey gets out of it as expected, but Alexi literally won't let this man breathe. Sergey makes it to round 2, but he ends up doing nothing with a dominant position. Again in round 2, Alexi takes the fight to the mat. Sergey ends up on top, but I think Alexi is fine with that. From the bottom, he goes for an armbar, but Sergey gets out of it. Oh no, Sergey's on top. Don't worry, Alexi's got a leg. Alexi works his way to full mount. Surely he'll punch him. Nope, he'd rather go for a triangle from the bottom. We make it to round 3, and Sergey has barely been able to fight his fight, but he enjoys a few seconds Alexi allows him to stand, and he stuns him with an overhand left. They do some dirty boxing in the clinch, but Sergey makes the mistake of securing a takedown. Alexi immediately starts going for a guillotine. Alexi on his back goes for an armbar. No, maybe a Kimura. Actually, he wants a rear naked choke. I don't know what's going on with this man. He can't make his mind up, but he is all over him like a spider monkey. Again, Alexi sinks in the rear naked choke. He has Sergey exhausted. Both of their faces are red. Sergey is ready to tap, but Alexi isn't satisfied. Of all the times he could have done this, he goes for full mount for punches, but this man is once again thinking 5 steps ahead. He just wanted an armbar, and Sergey just lets it happen at this point. Alexi just put on a clinic with the number 3 ranked heavyweight in the world, and he will try his luck in the next round against Stipe Miocic. Up next, we have Cyril Gane versus the lowest ranked fighter in the tournament, 5'10", 230 pounds, Ilir Latifi. Latifi looks like a lightweight, so this should be a cakewalk for one of the best fighters on the planet, but of course Latifi dominated round 1 with 4 minutes of ground control. Gane started to loosen up in round 2 with his striking, and without even stretching first, he stuns Latifi with a flying knee. It took him a while to figure out he shouldn't be letting this lightweight bully him, but once he did, he looked unstoppable. We're back to a combined 500 pounds in the next fight between Curtis Blaydes and Jairzinho Rosenstrike. This fight started off pretty entertaining between some solid leg kicks and haymakers being landed, but if you've ever seen Curtis Blaydes fight before, you know where this is going. Curtis Bobby Boucher'd him to the mat and proceeded to pepper his face up for 4 minutes straight. Curtis let Jairzinho stand for a while longer in the second round and would have paid the price for it if this head kick landed. So he went back to his bread and butter. I thought it would be another round of competitive cuddling, but Jairzinho managed to get on top this time and bring the fight back to the feet. Jairzinho again was starting to dominate on the feet with just his right hand alone, but again Curtis Blaydes didn't sign up for this, so he promptly took the fight to the ground and kept it there for the rest of the round. In round 3, Blaydes quit gambling with his life, and within 30 seconds of accelerated clock time, he landed another takedown, and he never gave up the top position for the rest of the fight. Curtis Blaydes is pretty much a cheat code against anyone who can't get off their back, so he'll be moving on to the next round to face Cyril Gane. And for the last fight of the first round, we have Fedor Emelianenko versus Derek Lewis. It's probably not the super fight you imagine Fedor would find himself in the UFC, but it's what you're gonna get. Fedor is considered one of the best fighters of all time, and for good reason, but to be fair, this man has never met Derek Lewis in the center of the octagon. The Black Beast drops Fedor 20 seconds into the fight. They make it back to their feet, and again Fedor runs face first into another Derek Lewis bomb. And Derek Lewis might actually be the greatest fighter of all time. It's round 2 and Derek Lewis still hasn't calmed down. He touches gloves and goes for a jumping switch kick out of the gates. That doesn't land, and Fedor comes back with some nice strikes that cuts open Lewis, but all it takes is one solid punch and Fedor is stunned again. A minute and a half into the round, Fedor stuns Lewis again, and it looks like the momentum is shifting. Fedor follows that up with a takedown attempt, but jiu-jitsu is not real. Lewis stuffed that and drops Fedor with a left hook. Respectfully, he lets him get up, but not so respectfully, he follows that up with an overhand right hand that sends Fedor into next week and Derek Lewis into the next round. Up first in round 2, we have Jon Jones taking on Alexander Volkov. Before any damage is landed, Jon takes control of Volkov and the fight. He takes him to the mat and delivers some damage from full mount. Volkov manages to get back up, but Jones makes it pretty clear he can take him down whenever he feels like it. A completely different man comes out of the blue corner in round 2. Volkov stuns Jon in the first 30 seconds of the round and follows that up with some decent shots. Jon lands a problematic leg kick on Volkov, but the Russian comes right back at him and leaves a cut on Jon. Jon tries to pressure Volkov and win the round back, but Volkov is dangerous on his back foot. Volkov is now starting to look for a finish, but Jon Jones tickles his stomach and stuns him with the head kick. And with less than a minute left in the round, Jon throws a combination that should have ended this man's career, but for now it might have taken away Volkov's ability to win by decision. Jon comes out swinging for the fences in round 3, but all it does is leave him with a bloody nose. Speaking of noses, someone needs to check Jon's because this man is coming out with a real burst of energy. He throws everything he has at Volkov and he is stunned, bloodied, and confused. Volkov is still struggling to land a punch, but this man is still lucky enough to avoid a flying head kick by inches. Yet he wasn't lucky enough to not lean into a knee. But Volkov isn't out of it yet. He goes back to the old reliable overhand and stuns Jon Jones. Both of their head healths are flashing. Either one of them could be knocked out at any moment, but with less than 20 seconds to go in the fight, Jones stuns Volkov again with a straight and hand down, man down. Volkov is unconscious and Jon Jones will be moving on to the semifinals. Up next, we have Stipe Miocic facing Alexi Olick. They may not combine for 500 pounds in weight, but they do combine for 87 years of age. It doesn't take long for Alexi to get the first takedown of the fight. Of course, he doesn't actually want to be on top, so he goes for the triangle. Stipe gets out of it, gets on top, and stays on top for most of the round without being bent up like a pretzel, so that's a pretty good start for him. Stipe knows what's coming in round 2, so he wastes no time damaging Alexi on the feet. He stuns him twice and leaves a pretty bad pair of cuts around his left eye. Alexi starts swinging for the fences with back-to-back overhands. He then goes for the takedown, but Stipe is ready with a takedown defense, or in other words, a knee to his chin. Eventually, Alexi does get his takedown. He goes for the back-to-back submissions with no success, but he doesn't come out of this round empty-handed because for once he gets off of Stipe and does pretty well at bashing Stipe's face in before the end of round 2. A minute and a half into round 3, Stipe gets the first stun of the round with yet another hook. Stipe starts to defend the takedowns in round 3, and now he has Alexi fighting his type of fight. Alexi cuts Stipe's eye with an elbow, which gives Stipe an idea. Alexi has his back against the cage, but he comes back with a stunning hook and is doing pretty well for himself for a grappler. But Stipe finds himself with his back against the cage, and he drops Alexi with a jab. He goes down on Alexi for the finish. He works in a few good strikes, but Alexi is back in his domain. He does some damage, he goes for an arm triangle, but they end up going to a close decision, and Stipe Miocic wins 29-28. Stipe will meet Jon Jones in the semifinals, but apparently Alexi Olick might be one of the most slept on fighters in the game. On the other side of the bracket, we have number 3 Ciryl Gane facing number 6 Curtis Blaydes. It doesn't take long for Blaydes to land a takedown in this one, but somehow Gane gets his back and stands back up. Gane really thought he was onto something when he threw a kick into Blaydes' head, but this man could not care less. Physics don't exist, takedowns do. Blaydes doesn't let Gane up for the rest of the round and leaves some evidence for the judges. Blaydes lets Gane stand and bang with him in round 2 and gets caught with a few good punches in the opening seconds. Gane lands another combination and tries to hit a flying knee, although it's Blaydes who lands the first huge strike of the fight. He hits him with a stunning overhand and follows that up with a head kick. Somehow Gane survives that and pops right back up, but Blaydes goes on to take Gane down and keeps him down for the rest of round 2. And with Gane being dominated for most of the first 2 rounds, he needs a knockout to win this one. And in round 3, Blaydes didn't even abuse his takedown game. He played defensively and was only caught with a few good strikes, which will give him another decision victory and move him on to the semifinals. And for the last second round fight, we have the interim champ Tom Aspinall facing Derek Lewis. They touch gloves, and with no hesitation, Derek Lewis tries to take his head off. That doesn't land, but pretty much the first punch that he does land leaves Aspinall stunned. But only a little over a minute into the round, Tom Aspinall comes back with a stunning right overhand overhand. He then catches Derek Lewis in the middle of the kick and gets the takedown. He goes for an arm triangle. He does some damage in the ground and pound, and Derek Lewis never gets back up for the rest of the round. But Aspinall comes out in round 2 a little too confident and takes a short nap in the middle of the octagon. Derek Lewis doesn't bite on the ground game. He sticks to what he does best, and it pays off again. Tom is looking for a way out, so he goes for the takedown, but Derek Lewis isn't interested. He fends that off and lands 1, 2, 3, 4 good punches on Aspinall. He falls face first onto the mat. Derek Lewis goes down with him this time and finishes the job. They have to cut the cameras off of him. That was vicious. Derek Lewis has somehow made his way to the semifinals after beating some of the toughest matchups on the bracket. It is all 5-round fights from here, but that probably won't apply to Derek Lewis. But up first, we have Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic. Both fighters are landing at a high volume from range to start off this one, but when they are up close and personal, Stipe lands an elbow that cuts Jones in the first minute of a 25-minute fight. Jon makes Stipe fall with an oblique kick. He doesn't want the ground control time though. He'd rather just sit there and emote on him. Fair enough though. Jon waits for Stipe to come to him and he leaves him stunned. But Stipe comes back out in round 2 with some pressure. Jon spins right in front of his opponent and gets cut again for that. Stipe is back in the pocket bullying Jon, but he loses interest in that. He'd rather go for a takedown just to voluntarily stand back up and receive a cut around the nose at the end of round 2. Round 2 wasn't the most exciting, but in round 3, it only took a minute for Stipe to stun Jon with the overhand and again with the uppercut. Jon tries to clinch with Stipe, but somehow Stipe is the quicker fighter and Stipe stuns Jon again with the uppercut. Jon tries to mix things up with a flying knee, but apparently Stipe can still reach him all the way up there and Jon is stunned again. Jon has been dominated throughout the entire round, but in the last minute, Jon pops Stipe with a front kick and a spinning back fist that sends him to the canvas. Stipe somehow gets back up just in time to be dropped again, and Jon goes for the life-altering head kick on his downed opponent, but the game refuses to register that for any damage. Jon knows better than anyone, if you're not cheating, you're not trying, but sadly, EA doesn't agree with him, so Stipe survives round 3. And that's sadly going to be the last big moment of the fight for Jon in this one. Stipe controlled Jon on the feet and on the mat for the rest of the fight, and he will win this fight by decision and move on to the final round. Next up is Curtis Blaydes versus Derek Lewis. These two have completely opposite fighting styles, and it didn't take long to see that. Derek Lewis is the largest style bender on the planet. He stuns Blaydes with a jumping switch kick and follows that up with a head kick that drops Blaydes in the first minute of the fight. Blaydes keeps making the mistake of standing and banging with Lewis, and he gets knocked down again, but maybe that's his strategy to bring Lewis to the mat. Although it appears to be pretty easy for Blaydes to take him down the normal way. But Lewis did not feel like staying down, so 20 seconds later, he outmuscles Blaydes and stands back up. And as soon as Lewis gets back up, he knocks Blaydes down again, but he wisely doesn't follow him to the mat. Blaydes is starting to have some success with his wrestling and takes him down with a single leg, but Derek Lewis is a black belt. He takes his back and gets himself back to the feet. But Blaydes has had enough of boxing with Derek Lewis, so he takes him down yet again, and this time doesn't let him back up for the rest of the round. In round 2, Blaydes is trying to find the clinch while Lewis is trying to find his temple, but sadly Lewis took the bait and paid the price for the rest of the second round. Round 3 is underway, and finally Blaydes is starting to have some success on his feet. He smells blood, so he starts to walk down Lewis, but he gets caught with a left hook, and he's looking at the canvas again. So in their next clash, Blaydes covers up and secures the takedown, and from here he could at least fatigue Lewis, but Derek Lewis again is outclassing Blaydes. He counters after the ground and pound, and he is back on top. We make it to round 4, and apparently Blaydes doesn't think Lewis has earned a glove touch, so he catches a glove to the face and is knocked down in the opening seconds. 30 seconds into the round, he goes for another takedown, but Lewis isn't having it. He stuffs it 2 elbows later, and this fight is over. Derek Lewis has once again overcome the odds and is moving to the finals to meet Stipe Miocic. Here we are in the championship. They touch gloves, and immediately after, Lewis tries hitting Stipe with a spinning body kick. Stipe takes his first real crack at Lewis a minute into the fight, and that leaves him wobbled. Afterwards, Lewis starts to apply some pressure, but Stipe comes right back at him with a stunning left hook. They took some big shots at each other again, and even though Derek is dodging this punch, he still gets caught with the overhand right. They keep it standing for the rest of the round, and Derek Lewis draws first blood above Stipe's nose. Stipe tried to take Lewis down in the final minutes, but Derek Lewis stuffs that and gets payback on his face with some big uppercuts. Both fighters need to leave a mark on their opponent to win the round, and they do just that. We get a simultaneous stun on both fighters to end the round. To start round 2, these fighters look dead even again. They both do some damage on each other, but Derek Lewis tries blowing his load first. And not even a minute into the round, Lewis stuns Stipe with a left hook. He goes for a crazy kick after that. That doesn't land, but the next one does, and Stipe is on the mat. Stipe answers back with a damaging straight, but he doesn't see the left hook coming, and he's knocked down again. Derek Lewis probably could have won the fight here, but that would require some wrestling, so he'll pass. Stipe is badly beaten, but he is not giving up. He comes back swinging at air, but eventually one connects, and Derek Lewis reaches the mat for the first time in the fight. Stipe doesn't chase him to the mat, but he does keep the pressure on him, and he has Lewis stunned again, and it's looking like an even fight once again. Their punches are damaging each other like it's round 5, but Stipe gets the upper hand again. He drops Lewis, follows him to the mat for the finish. He doesn't get it, and even worse, Derek Lewis simply just stands up. With a minute left to go in round 2, Lewis can't even take a punch. He is dropped by a straight. Stipe wants to go home, so he goes down with him, but once again, Lewis is able to get back up. But this man is too aggressive for his own good. His head health is still flashing, yet he walks down Stipe just to catch a flush overhand that knocks him out for good. Sadly, Derek Lewis's run is over, but the man went out swinging. He took down some of the toughest fighters on the planet to get here, but respectfully, so did Stipe. But that's gonna do it. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you want more UFC 5 content, and make sure to hit some of the buttons below on your way out, and I will see you in the next one.